I've never done one of these before. Today we're gonna be painting a follower. This lovely follower, her name is Jules. She came into all of my live streams whenever I only had 20 viewers at the time. Now we have like an average of 700 people watching the live streams, and I'm so grateful for everybody. To say thank you to Jules, I'm gonna be painting her today. Jules is very light-skinned, so what we're gonna start off with is a nice yellow color and build from there. I'm gonna add the yellow with some white or off-white. Also, if you can see my desk, that's my business, not yours, okay? I didn't invite you into my creativity corner for you to judge me. We're just gonna lightly paint over her face with it. Sort of creates a nice, bright skin tone color. Beautiful girl, beautiful paintbrush. I feel like a child finger painting on the wall, except since I am an adult now, I don't get in trouble for coloring on the wall. Anyways, she looks gorgeous. She looks fantastic. I'm talking because we have to let it dry. Come on, you didn't know we had to let the paint dry? Now, we have to give Jules some color in her face. So we have a nice, actually, base color for her skin. What I'm gonna do is take this pink color. I'm gonna mix the pink color with the white color that I had from earlier. That's gonna make a nice little blush color for her skin. Color theory is basically putting colors together and making them make sense to the eye and make sense to the brain. For example, this painting. This is a very orange and blue painting. Color theory basically says, if I have this orange and I mix it with a blue, all of a sudden it looks like it could be skin color, but it's really two different colors. I'm gonna take some pink and I'm just gonna go into her lips with it. Something simple, something subtle. And I'm gonna go on her upper lip too and take my time to detail it, just like this. Another thing when you're painting, don't try to paint from like your elbow, right? That's gonna be very rigid. Paint from your wrist. Get a little loosey. Get a little, just start dance with the paintbrush. Oh, balls. It's fine. What is a good painting if you don't mess up a little bit? I'm actually gonna take the same color and dip it in water. I'm gonna take that and go around the points of her face that pop out. So her eyebrows, her cheeks, part of her chin, and maybe even some of her jaw. And we're gonna see if that brings it to life at all. Now, I know what it looks like. You don't be trusting the process and it shows. I'm just gonna take this brush and blend it out. Brush it out over her eyebrows a little bit, even her chin, with some extra water on my paintbrush. Now, I know you see it in the hair, and her lips look very pink right now. That's the point. I'm even gonna take some pink with this brush and put it on her nose. Maybe even a little bit more pink on the top of the cheeks, like that. Boom, 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 blend, blend, blend. Sometimes I just don't what the f am I saying? I don't understand how I can paint, but I can't do a good makeup. It's basically the same thing. How does that even work? Another part that comes out is her forehead. She has a beautiful forehead. She's like Rihanna, but Rihanna is also a billionaire. So we're gonna talk about the forehead, or we're gonna talk about the munion. Exactly. Thank you. I'm gonna put some here. I'm gonna let that blend out. So we're adding some depth to the face with the leftover water. And as that dries, you're gonna see it actually adds a really nice shadow. My favorite thing to do, I don't know if this is conventional. I didn't go to art school, okay? I taught myself how to paint about a year ago. My favorite thing to do is paint with the paint water in the cup. So depending on what color you have, it doesn't really matter. It's always gonna give you a sort of gray color. So if you start off with white or whatever color you're painting with, eventually as you dip your paintbrush into the water is gonna get dirty. But it's also a really nice mixture of all of the paints that you've used for the painting. Another thing, this lady, she has like really nice cheeks. So I'm gonna add like a little smile line here. Not much, just a little bit of paint water, maybe a little bit of that pink again. I'm gonna use even more, maybe a little bit of this pink, make it muddy with the paint water. And I'm just gonna go into the neck with it, just like this, right underneath the chin, into the hair, and we're just gonna do that movement right there. Okay, the next thing I would say is I'm gonna use a nice little brown. I actually have a little bit of brown left over my palette from a painting that we did earlier today. I'm just gonna take some of that on the tip of the brush, and I'm gonna go on her eyelid and create this sort of shadow. It looks really brown, that's fine. Dip it in some paint water, dilute it, I don't care. Anytime you're painting, you're gonna wanna look at their undertones. So for example, my undertones, they're probably very yellow, maybe even orange, I would say. So I'm gonna start off with an orange base, and then I'm slowly gonna layer on the other colors that I see, like a pink, or a white, or a blue, or something. And then I can add in the shaded colors. So that's what we're doing here. I'm gonna take it and come along her jawline, just like this, on the top, not the bottom. And that's gonna create a sort of depth and shadow that we hadn't had before. I'm even gonna take some brown and put it on the inside of her skin here, and maybe even here to define those lines. And all of a sudden, gorgeous girls are coming to life. Now, I know you're gonna ask me what type of paints I'm using. I am using an acrylic paint set. I'm using it like it's watercolor. Why? Because there's no rule to painting, and if you think there is, art school tricked you and they stole your money, because no, there's not. I'm gonna add some more shadow to her eyebrow, where we're gonna have this dark color. Now the thing about the nose is, you have to remember that there's a bulbous part, and there's a part that comes back right before the flat part of the face. So we wanna bring that bulbous part out by adding the shadow before we just start highlighting everything, or else it's gonna look like the finger painting. I'm gonna add a nice bulbous part here on her nose. You can see her nose protrudes there. And then I'm gonna add some shadow around this part and let the rest come to life. The subtle things make the big differences. I'm gonna also add some shade underneath her nose. So the nose already pops out of the canvas, in this case out of the paper, because canvas is kind of pricey. Do you know what we're going through in the world today? I think that looks pretty good for now. I'm gonna paint her upper lip brown to sort of identify the difference. And if you look at anybody's lips, even mine, my bottom lip is typically pinker and my top lip is a little bit darker. I'm gonna go across her eyes and see if we can add some pretty details that way. Hello, paintbrush. Can you stop being stupid, please? I'm also just gonna do her pupils in the meantime. Gorgeous! Gorgeous. Another thing, on the subway systems of New York City, if you ever see a woman sitting across from you and she's staring at you like this, and that woman just so happens to look like me, it's because it is me and I'm gonna paint you later. And now you would never even know. Gorgeous, gorgeous girl. The water really gave her face some shape. We're gonna do some eyebrows now. Whenever it comes to painting something, I would say don't be too harsh on yourself on trying to make it look exactly perfect. When you're making something with your hands, it's skill and it's technique, but it's also a lot of patience, but also you're only human. All we need to do is capture the likeness. We don't need to capture perfection. And you see, we haven't even touched the black yet. You don't want to touch it unless you have to. And now, after that dries, definition by the jaw. Beautiful. She looks so good. What's really gonna bring this piece together is when we finally add the dark colors and the bright colors. I'm gonna take this and do circular motions with my paintbrush to create depth in the curls. She has beautiful hair, right? I know, dude. There's a lot of volume here, but I'm painting her profile picture, so it's sent in a circle. So I kind of have to imagine what the rest of her hair would look like. So I'm starting off with like a really washed out black color, so it's sort of gray when it dries. That way, whenever I add the darker color, there's depth to it. We want to make it look 3D, so we have to really think about the layers that come with the hair. Now, I'm slowly gonna add more pigment as we get out of the face like this. And that's what's gonna give you that like fun, free, curly hair look. Very balanced, very gorgeous. Maybe even go into the cheek a little bit. Ooh, I like that. Maybe even add a line or two for her shirt like that. And you can see now that she has a collar. I'm even gonna change my brush because why not? Let's take a little bit of white and add some finishing details. Miss Jules. Miss Jules, Miss Jules. That looks really, really good. That looks really stinking good. I gave you a few tips in here, so if you want to paint on your own, hopefully you'll take the tips that I used here and maybe make your own art piece. Maybe you're gonna draw her, maybe you're gonna draw somebody else. I don't know. You can follow me on TikTok at _myla.apple_. What do they do next? They ask you to subscribe. I mean, if you want to, cutie. No, please, actually subscribe. That way I can continue to make these fun videos. Okay, bye!